We begin in Billings this morning, where fire crews battled a blaze at a downtown auto shop early this morning. The Billings Fire Department was called to the 1600 block of 2nd Avenue North around 1:30 for a report of a structure fire. Billings police blocked off the streets surrounding Core Automotive, including 1st Avenue North, and drivers were rerouted. At least 2 other businesses, including the Habitat for Humanity Restore building and the Grindhouse, a martial arts academy, are located in the same building as Core Automotive. The fire department hasn't stated if the flames reached those other businesses or if it was contained to the Core Automotive portion of the building. Fire crews were still putting out hot spots as of 3 a.m. We'll be sure to update you on air and online as soon as more details are released. Now looking at national news, CBS News projects Republican U.S. Senator Cindy Hyde-Smith will win the Mississippi Senate runoff against Democratic challenger Mike Espy. The contest was heated, in particular by a remark Hyde-Smith made on video. She said if she were invited to a public hanging, she would be in the front row. Hyde-Smith was appointed to the Senate in April to finish her predecessor's term. Hyde-Smith becomes the first woman in Mississippi elected to the Senate. The pilots of an Indonesian jetliner that crashed last month battled to save the plane, a 737 MAX 8. The flight data recorder reveals a new anti-stall system kept automatically pushing the nose of the plane down during the 11-minute flight. The plane crashed into the Java Sea, killing all 189 on board. And President Trump threatened Tuesday to punish General Motors for its plans to reduce the company's North American workforce by thousands. The president tweeted that his administration is looking at cutting, quote, all GM subsidies, including for electric cars. Closer to home, 2 people are hospitalized after a semi-truck and van collided in Carbon County. It happened around 4:30 Tuesday afternoon on Highway 212 on the S curve just east of Joliet. Traffic was slowed in both directions for hours. The 2 people who suffered injuries were taken to a Billings hospital. There's no word on the severity of their injuries or current condition. The principal at Anaconda's junior and senior high school, who was under investigation in connection with a controversial text message, has resigned. Anaconda's school superintendent confirms that Sean Hansen submitted his resignation on Monday. The decision came after Hansen was being investigated over a complaint lodged in September by a 19-year-old former student who claimed Hansen sent him a message he believed was inappropriate. Hansen had been on administrative leave since then. The student said Hansen asked him out on a date. The Anaconda Police Department began an investigation, but since both parties are adults, the chief said there would not be any criminal charges. Well, Montana's 2019 legislature begins in less than 6 weeks at the state capitol in Helena. The 2019 session will tackle plenty of big issues, including health care funding, Montana's escalating problem with methamphetamine, and the state budget. As MTN's Mike Dennison reports, the battle over an obscure House rule could make a big difference once the session gets rolling.
In Montana's 100-member House, a supermajority of 60 votes is needed to take a bill stalled in committee and move it to the House floor for further action. But some Republicans in the House and minority Democrats are proposing to change that rule so that only a simple majority, 51 votes, is needed to remove a bill from committee. Democratic House Minority Leader Casey Schreiner of Great Falls says the supermajority rule on blasting bills from committee is not how the legislature should work.
We've believed, and we have for session after session, that we don't even know if that's constitutional. So I'm looking forward to the opportunity of getting it back to where the majority of the people representing Montana have a say, and that's how we pass legislation in the state of Montana.
This change matters because without it, House GOP leadership can more easily kill key legislation they don't like by bottling it up in committee. If only 51 votes are needed to take the bill from committee, the chamber's 42 Democrats can join with just 9 Republicans to bring the bill to the floor and then pass it. But the supermajority requires at least 18 Republicans to join Democrats to move the bill, a much more difficult bar to clear. Republican State Senator Ed Buttrey of Great Falls proposed the rule change last month, and it's been forwarded to the House Rules Committee. He says the Senate has always required a simple majority to overturn committee decisions, and that the House should too. But incoming Republican House Speaker Greg Hertz told MTN News earlier this month that he believes the 60-vote supermajority requirement should remain.
I do like the supermajorities. You know, legislation should not be easy to pass. It's always good to make sure that legislation has to go through a process, so at the end, we end up with a good product.
The House Rules Committee, whose members were appointed by Hertz, is unlikely to adopt the change. That means those pushing the change may have to fight it out on the House floor the first week of the session and get a majority vote to overturn the Rules Committee. But these competing factions could work out a deal, ensuring that a few select controversial bills advance to the House floor for debate and a vote. Whatever happens, should play a role in the outcome of key legislation at the upcoming session. At the Capitol, Mike Dennison, MTN News.
And former Great Falls Senator Ed Buttrey will shift over to the House this session, where he'll take his new seat January 7th, the opening day of the 2019 session. Back here in Billings, 8 people have put their names in the running for an open seat on the City Council. The spot was created when longtime Councilman Larry Brewster stepped down. 2 women and 6 men submitted their application letters and resumes to Mayor Bill Colt. The list of council hopefuls include Jennifer Marecki, who ran for a state Senate seat in this year's election, Jennifer Owen, Executive Director of Head Start's Explorers Academy, Roger Graveguard, who along with his wife just served as co-chairs of the 2018 Relay for Life, former Heights Task Force Chairman Roy Neese, Billings attorney Jared Lefevre, retired businessman TJ Smith, longtime Heights resident Tom Zumbrunchen, who is among the plaintiffs challenging the city's controversial franchise fees, and Heights resident David Whitmore. The new council member will be chosen by the mayor with the consent of the majority of the remaining council. All the applicants will have a chance to address the council during a special public meeting set for December 3rd from 4 to 5 p.m. A final decision will be announced at the council's December 17th meeting. Now we go to Butte, where Montana Tech is anxiously awaiting a report that is expected to include possible faculty and staff cuts. MTN's John Amy tells us why the school is trimming its budget and how deep the cuts could go.
Montana Tech employees are awaiting a report at the end of this week that will recommend possible faculty and staff cuts.
It's been difficult times on the Tech campus.
The report is aimed at finding ways to cut between $500,000 and $1 million from the university's budget. The university has seen a decrease in enrollment this fall by about 100 students. The Butte College currently has a 14-to-1 student-to-faculty ratio.
But we will get close to that 16-to-1 student-to-faculty ratio, mainly through attrition, through retirements, but there could be recommended cuts in current faculty levels.
The recommendation could cut up to 15 employees, which is causing anxiety on the campus.
There's that unknown element. Nobody knows what these recommendations are. And the campus will see the draft recommendations this Friday.
And despite the current drop in enrollment here at Montana Tech, Doug Abbott says he's confident enrollment will spike back up in the future.
One of the indicators this year is first-time freshman enrollment is up. And one of the reasons that our enrollment has dropped is because we have graduated such large classes. Over the course of the last 4 years, we've graduated 500 students every year, and that's been unheard of.
For now, cuts are expected. In Butte, John Amy, MTN News.
And the report will be released on Friday. A campus committee will review it and decide by mid-December if it will accept the recommendations. In other news, in less than a month, another lucky person in the Treasure State will become a Montana millionaire. This is the 12th year the game has been run by the Montana Lottery with the purpose of ensuring that one Montanan becomes a millionaire. As of today, there are less than half of the 150,000 tickets still available. Lottery organizers say this is the fastest selling year on record, with ticket sales up 33%. Communications Director Jennifer McKee says this is one of the Montana Lottery's favorite times of the year.
We call it Millionaire Season because it really is really fun. It's fun to watch Montanans get involved in this game. It's a fun, easy game, and it's fun to watch the winners come in.
A Vaughn man claimed the first Montana Millionaire Early Bird Prize this week. The next early bird drawing is on Friday, December 14th. The big drawing will be conducted once all the tickets are sold. Before we take a break, many passengers prefer flying in a window seat, but one day planes might not have windows. CBS's Hillary Lane explains.
The view from this Emirates flight may look normal, but these windows are an illusion. Zach Honig from thepointsguy.com got to ride in the first-class suite situated in the middle of the plane. Emirates wanted these passengers to have a view, so they created windows that are actually monitors.
We've demonstrated that with fiber optic cameras relaying the image from the outside as if you were in the window seat. The quality of the imagery is so good, it's better than with the natural eye.
Emirates President Tim Clark says the technology opens up the possibility of building airplanes with no windows in the cabin at all.
The aircraft are lighter, okay? The aircraft could fly faster. They'll burn far less fuel and fly higher.
Offering seamless panoramic views.
The British company Centre for Process Innovation is developing a digital wallpaper that could project outside views.
Information and in-flight services at your fingertips.
Passengers could also choose their own view.
We could see windowless planes maybe within 10 years.
Simon Calder, travel editor for The Independent, says windowless planes could bring down the cost of flying.
They're cheaper to make, they're structurally more coherent, and they reduce drag.
We got a mixed reaction after showing the technology to passengers.
I don't know if I like that.
What do you think about an airplane without windows?
I think it'd be pretty cool.
That would be a little different, a little odd.
Would it freak you out?
A little bit, yeah, I think so.
While the windowless technology is only on select flights, it's not yet clear whether the idea will really take off. Hillary Lane, CBS News, New York.